This episode of Lawyers Tell All is brought to you by the Intake Academy. Are you ready to convert more callers to qualified cases, rapidly qualify good cases, and transform unqualified prospects to advocates for your firm, whether you're able to handle their case or not? Visit www.intakeacademy.com and discover how to cement relationships with more of your ideal clients. Get them to commit to you and send you more referrals than you ever thought possible. Welcome to the Lawyers Tell All podcast, where Chris Mullins, the preeminent sales and communications consultant in the legal industry, shows you how it looks through lawyers' eyes. Here, innovators in the trenches provide powerful insights that help you connect with new clients, handle the sometimes harsh realities of the legal profession, and embrace the mindsets needed to succeed. Be sure to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, lean in, tune in, and let's take a deep dive.
Hello, everyone. It's Chris Mullins with Lawyers Tell All, and today I'm interviewing Daniel Rosenberg, and I'm going to let Daniel tell you about himself.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate having me, Chris. My name is Daniel Rosenberg, as you said. I own a litigation firm down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I've been practicing law for about 20 years now. I own a litigation firm for close to 20 years as well. I came out of the criminal defense world. I started off in criminal defense, and I still do a lot of criminal defense work. I did, after a while, grew and partnered up with a civil litigator. So, and now we own a boutique litigation firm. We have 6 lawyers that work for us. We have different divisions. We have division does criminal defense, division does family law, and a division does business and real estate litigation only. And that's who we are. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you do personal injury?
We don't do personal injury. We have lawyers that we work with, of course.
Okay, right. Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Yeah, but we have a whole network of lawyers, obviously, that we work with, but we don't keep that in-house.
Yeah, but the criminal defense, how did that start?
Well, so it's interesting. I went to law school late. I was opening retail stores with my dad after I graduated. I went to Ohio State, graduated business degree from USF, finished the USF. Was opening real retail stores, and went to law school at 27 and got I was a certified intern with the public defender's office because I wanted to learn how to try cases. And I heard, the quickest way to learn to try cases is either the public defender's office or the district attorney or state attorney's office, because that's where you're just trial by fire, Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be a defense attorney. I was interested in that. And I walked in, volunteered at the public defender's office. First, I volunteered before I even got the internship through law school. And I was just fascinated. You're seeing criminal trials and these trial lawyers. And I was certified in law school. I got it as credits, and I was doing that always as mentors. But I was certified by the Florida Supreme Court, so I could actually speak in court to the judge. And I tried some cases with, obviously, you had to have an attorney with you. And then once I passed the bar, they hired me, and my goal was to have 10 trials and then to go out on my own, and I wanted to just learn 10 trials and then open my own practice because I knew I wanted to be a business for myself at that point in my life. I was already 27, 28 years old.
What were the retail stores that you were opening with your dad?
Well, my father, it's funny because my father is he is Israeli American. Came here from Israel in the early 70s, and they were in the beachwear business. I don't know if you heard wings, the beach stores and the tourist shops, that you see.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Stores. So he was a part of a big chain with that, and he started opening his own stores on the west coast of Florida. And I went, helped him, and while I was finishing business school, he needed my help, so we opened 7 stores together.
Oh.
And that obviously wasn't what I was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And everybody said, you should be a lawyer. You should be a lawyer. I'm not sure if that's a compliment when people are telling you that so much.
I think, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe
it just means you argue a lot, So
you win a lot.
Yeah, I like to think so. But so then I went and did my own path.
Yeah,
definitely feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing now, though, for sure.
Well, that's good though. That's good. You have really nice eyes.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but you have multiple, like different practices. Why did you
Yeah.
do
So it's not easy to do. I definitely I don't recommend lawyers do like one-stop shop things. You have to be very careful in how you practice law, especially because I think you need to have expertise in each field to really guide your clients the right way. But the way we did it is, I became I was always networking out especially since I went out on my own very early. But I became known in all the groups as like the in-court guy. So I started getting anything what people would hear about court. You would get those referrals. Like all lawyers really get everybody that sends you any law thing because they think you know everything, right? But I started becoming the in-court guy, and then it was so much of it that these people would trust me. These were colleagues of mine. They're like, look, I would give it to lawyers that did different things. And they're like, look, we want you to oversee it. So that's when I decided I met a young civil litigator that was really good at what he did. And I said, let's work together, and I'll be involved. And I started learning these different things as well. But, you have to be able to defer. Like the lawyers that do the real estate business, I take a back seat to them, and
that? You have to, yeah.
lawyers, like they take a back seat. Criminal, they take a back seat to me. But, I found that when you're litigating though, like when you're literally in trials, that should be its own field. You know what I mean? As you're a litigator. So like, even the civil side of the firm, they're going to trial. They want me involved. They're picking a jury. They want me involved. So it's its own art. So that's how I've been able to do it. I've been able to do it well. You got to be able to let your ego go and take a back seat, though, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So you can stay in your lane, whatever lane that's be,
Sure.
right? Criminal defense, right?
And if you don't know how to do it, you got to be able to just not touch that kind of it's a different.
Yeah.
A lot of very niche areas of law.
All right. So tell me about sales, like in criminal. I mean, I've worked with criminal law firms and helped them out with sales and everything. But what's your process? Because I don't know, not everybody's really sticking to one way of doing it.
I mean, it's the criminal thing. So the criminal criminal is you become kind of like a hunter with cases because you have a flat rate on a lot of these, right? So like in any other field, they're taking retainers and they bill hourly, and then that exhausted and you have to replenish your retainer. You're always seeing income kind of there if you get some good cases and you're able to work and do your job correctly. In criminal, you get a fee. You get that fee, and that fee you might be stuck on that case for a year. So every Monday you're kind of at zero. As a business owner, you have to constantly get new cases.
Yeah.
I mean, my 95% of my cases come from word of mouth, and networking. I do a lot of personal networking. Now I do the podcast. I'm in the, business BNI. I'm in BNI. I'm in all these little chapters. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but I'm in I'm in groups, and those things work if you put in the effort. There's people that don't put in the effort, don't invest. And, there are I'm doing online things a little bit, but it's difficult. Online, there's so many lawyers that are doing that. You're going to get calls. And the thing with criminal that's hard is that people need money up front. Like for the injury lawyers, the online marketing is great.
Yeah.
They don't take upfront fees. So they sign everybody that calls,
Right.
Criminal defense, you're quoting these big fees, and if they can't pay it, you can't help. You can help them, but they can't pay it. You're not going to help them. It's a business. You have to, there's some cases you do, pro bono or pro se, but not per se pro bono, but you need to be paid, so it's tougher. You have to be, people have to trust you, and you have to communicate well, especially on that first call.
But tell me about that first call. Like, who's doing the selling for you? Do you have a sales team, an intake team? Is it your how's that happen?
So we have an office. They take intake. They'll take information, but what's tough about it is I need to be on that initial call. Eventually, I need to speak to that person, because I found that that's the most successful way. Now I've built up a name and a reputation. So sometimes I don't always have to be, they've already heard The good thing about word of mouth is a lot of these people are pre-sold before they come in the door. They've heard so many good things about you that
Right.
here, but I usually like to be on that first call. First of all, you have to always make sure, the big thing with me is honesty with the client. Even if I lose that case, people want you to tell them things they want to hear, and I won't do that. And I found that a lot of people, that makes them more comfortable. Even if you're not hearing what they want to hear, they know that I'm going to be straight up with them. And I tell them, look, there's a lot of lawyers that'll say whatever for them to pay them, and then later say, well, this is the best I could do. With me, I'm going to manage the expectation at the front, and I'm going to be honest. And if you do that, I found that you build that rapport with the person or the potential client and the client, and that's the best form of business because my clients are always informed. My communication, as hard as it is, my communication is you're gonna have a lot of communication with me. I'm accessible. I have cell phone. I just found that in law, the biggest problems start with communication. Lack thereof or miscommunications, and
Yes.
you have your team, and you have paralegals, and you have younger lawyers. A younger lawyer is okay to do it with if you see that they can handle it. But a paralegal or a legal assistant talking to a potential client, I found that doesn't usually work out.
No.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that when you get prospective clients that call, you get on the phone all the time?
Depends. So there's an initial screening process.
Right.
Ways of asking questions to kind of see, first of all, is this person, can they even afford a lawyer? Is it a company that you can handle? You learn that through experience. At the beginning, I was on the phone with everybody. But now, by the time I'm getting on the phone, I know what the nature of the charges is. I know the judge. I know all this stuff. I know if this person can afford an attorney. I know all these things before I get on the call. But yeah, and that's the thing with criminal. It's you have to do that. I found you have to do that to be successful. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah. How many attorneys did you say you have?
So it's me and my partner, and we have 5 attorneys that work under me.
Okay.
But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, criminal defense, though, actually, there's 5 attorneys that work with us, and we have 4 that are of counsel, so they're technically with us. And criminal defense, it's tough. In criminal defense, you have to have, because you're walking into court almost every time. It's the judge, it's heightened, it's scary. So I found that if you have young lawyers, you really have to get them trained.
Yeah.
A lot of the of counsel people we have are very experienced trial lawyers like me, people that'll go to trial with me. So that in criminal defense, you kind of have to be able to walk into messes and just deal. Like my civil side of the firm is funny when they're going to trial. They're so prepared with they want to prepare for weeks and weeks, and they have boxes upon boxes. And in criminal defense, we do it too, but things go haywire. So you just have to be ready to be on your feet. Different kind of personality for criminal defense.
Yeah. Talk to me about empathy. How does your firm do with empathy? I would imagine you do great with it, but the other attorneys, with clients and prospective clients.
I mean, it depends on the hour and the day, but you're always striving towards it, right? It depends, and it depends on the person. I think that you're always trying to be empathetic, especially in family law. Family law is the toughest to be, because the joke is that criminal defense, this is not always true. This is just a phrase. They say bad people on their best behavior. Family law, it's good people on their worst behavior. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's not some general statement, but the family law, it's very emotional. There's kids involved. He hates her. All this.
Yeah.
You have to try to be very empathetic and understand that these people are going through it. And I think in any field, in business, it's money involved and life, it affects people's lives. And in criminal defense, people are real scared. Their lives are on the line. So you have to be empathetic. It's tough. It's a tough industry though, because it's very high stress. People can be very rude. Especially a lot of people that don't work with the lawyers a lot, people that don't understand that relationship. You get more of that in the criminal defense realm, and you get some in family law, but they were like, well, I gave you money. You have to answer to me whenever you want. You work for me. Okay.
Yeah.
So it gets tougher. It just depends on the personality, but you have to be empathetic in this field.
What about AI? You working on AI at all?
We're using it. I mean, it's good for sometimes content when you're working on content on websites. So you're not really supposed to do it, but it helps kind of organize things. It's just changed so much with AI and online. When I started practicing, it was, LexisNexis and I think they still use that, but you could literally Google things now and cases come up, right? Or AI will give you a whole breakdown, but we're learning how to incorporate it, but it's incredible, but I don't think people ask me all the time, do you think AI will replace lawyers? I just don't see that. I don't see that. I get the information being out there, but it's so nuanced. It's like if somebody asks you a legal question over text message, how hard is that to answer, right? It's never like there's a set answer. So, well, it depends if this happens. It depends on who's doing it. It depends on who did what and what to do it. I just think I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we might get there, but I'm not concerned. Anything is cool.
I mean, I think AI can help with communication. So updates and things like that for clients. So I think there's certain kinds of communication it could do, and speed to lead is big because humans don't get the leads as fast as they should. When the leads come in, they sit a little bit too long and they get to another law firm. So I think there's good use for it in some places. But also, what about remote? Do you have any remote workers?
Well, yes, I do. I have one girl that's actually in another state. She's one of my paralegals.
Okay.
It works. It's great. It's great. Yeah. I think everything can. I mean, it's tough because now courts are getting back to a lot of it's in person. Evidentiary stuff is in person, but a lot of it's on Zoom. I said that. Yeah. I think Zoom and Zelle are the greatest inventions to happen to lawyers. Instead of dealing with for payments, credit cards,
especially criminal.
Yeah, it's you do all this work and then people charge back a card and you're fighting with credit card companies. So that Zelle is so much easier, and Zoom, I mean, is the greatest thing. I think that's the best invention since the light bulb, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I practice all over, and I just don't do it. The people that resist that, I don't. There's some judges that still resist it. I just don't get it. Like I do full evidentiary hearings on Zoom. I mean, most of civil evidentiary hearings on Zoom now. Criminal, they don't do it because there's juries and the jury select. And I get that, but I mean, as an attorney, when you had to drive to a courthouse, that's an hour of drive time. Even if it's close, you have to go through the metal detectors. You have to go and wait in line behind all these other lawyers. And a lot of times it's for a status update. It would be like a 2-minute conversation.
Yeah.
And that's half your day. And if you're billing, it's getting billed for it. They've got to be happy it's not happening. And in criminal, we would have, criminals with us, we have 7 things up at the same time in 7 different courtrooms in different counties. So now with Zoom, it's much different. It's easier. It's easier and harder to practice law. It's easier in that you could do stuff like that, but it's harder because you're a lot more accessible.
Exactly. Well, especially if you have a personal phone, you're giving it to everybody.
It's tough, but I mean, it's tough to get around. For me, it's more work to not do it.
Yeah. You could do Zoom for client communications. Do you do that?
I do Zoom a lot.
Perfect.
A lot. I use Zoom a lot. My joke is with the clients, like, well, I want to come in and sit down and meet you. And I always joke, I'm like, look, unless you want to hug me, we could do a Zoom, And most of them are okay with it. But some people are old school. They want to come sit in the office for a while, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay too. So what are you working on now? What do you want to do next?
Well, I'm growing the firm, but I started a podcast and I'm enjoying that. I enjoy bringing in the different kinds of people and talking, and it's it's doing well. It's picking up steam. So I've been focusing on that, but I mean, I've been doing a lot of just bigger cases come. I do a lot of federal criminal work, which is a lot kind of like the big league, defense attorneys, in different states. And, trying to in law school, they used to say, you want to be at a point where you're just getting paid to talk in your brain, not touching files and not touching the computer. And, I'm there, I don't really, I'm on an iPad right now. I don't even, I take pride in my laptop at all. I try not to use a laptop. I just had one of my people text me, can we put it on your Adobe? I'm like, I don't have the Adobe. That's somebody else. I'm not doing it.
I love that.
I'm not.
What is Adobe?
I'm not doing that. I did that. I did that forever. That's
Those days are over. Those days are over.
Days are over for me for sure.
So you grow in the practice, and why are you doing a podcast?
I did that more as a hobby, because I just lost my mother last year, so I was going through a rough patch. Been going through a rough patch, and I believe in therapy. I believe in counseling for lawyers, especially. So I've been going to a therapist for 20 years. Just she's a colleague of mine, and she said to me, she's like, "Well, what are you doing for you? Do you do anything And all I do is work. I'm I used to play basketball, but then you get older, you start getting injured, so I can't really do that much anymore.
Yeah.
I'm I'm not really doing much. I travel, but travel is getting to be kind of a hassle now too. It's a lot of work. Stressful, and I'm working while I travel. What do you enjoy doing? I'm I like talking with colleagues and friends, so I started to do it. I started doing it, and it's a lot of fun. I'll bring lawyers on. We do a lot of courtroom stories. There's some funny criminal defense courtroom stories, obviously, but I do other things too. I'll bring I just had a dog trainer on there, and I had an hour podcast with a dog trainer. So just interesting stuff, and it's a lot of fun for me. That's fun.
Yeah.
You can break from law. You have to have a break from law a little bit because
we have to have a break from life too, right?
I agree.
I'm sorry about your mom.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We all have to go. It's not easy, but we have to all go through it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what if you had to pick a couple of lessons that you figured out but later than you would have liked, what lessons were there? What can you share with other folks?
As far as law,
yeah,
I say it's cross country, not track, is what I tell people. Pace yourself, because if you're going to be doing it for a while. So, I remember when I was an intern I just started as a young lawyer at public defender's office. They just handed me 200 cases. I'm a brand new lawyer, handed me 200 cases. I remember thinking this is insane. And I would walk into the courtroom of the judge. I'd have 50 cases up that day. The judge would be like, you ready for trial? You ready for trial? You ready for trial? I'm I don't even know these people. How am I ready for and I remember going to my supervisor's office. They're showing up just broken. I'm how am I going to do this? I had 10 files in my hand. And she's like, yeah, don't worry about it. You'll work your way into it. And then 3 months later, I would just walk into court with a pencil, So you start off going so fast. You have to do everything. Then you figure out your pace. And I wished I would have figured out the pace a little bit quicker because it's very, very stressful profession. You have to take care of your health and mental health. It doesn't end well for a lot of lawyers, unfortunately. We all know stories, so I pace, you know what I mean? It's cross country, especially if you own your own practice. You're going to be doing it for a while unless you strike gold and you're out in 5 years and you're one of those people, God bless. But otherwise, I would say pace. And then, another thing is pay attention to things outside of work. Pay attention to your family. Pay attention to your family because it flies. I was so busy. My young kids are now teenagers about to graduate. I was there, but I feel like I wasn't there. You know what I mean? I don't remember everything.
Yeah.
Because the stress is just so high in law,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I talk a lot about is mental health. My clients and the empathy, the whole thing there. And so do you provide any kind of focus on mental health at your firm or?
Yeah, I have a lot. I always try to get my lawyers to go see therapists. That's a big thing. My legal partner, I've always pushed that. I push that on anybody. I think the joke I say is everybody's a walking lunatic. Nobody really understands what makes them upset, what makes them sad. Nobody gets them, and they're just kind of walking around thinking life's happening to you.
Yeah.
Exhausting, and you can get your exhausted, like you're just waiting
It
for
is
it to
exhausting.
hit you in the face. Like that's not how you should have an outlook, So I firmly believe in that. I firmly believe a lot of success has come from me taking care of my mental health.
That's awesome. That's great.
Being able to do all that. And it's for the young lawyers especially, like
Yes.
you have to do it. You have to do it. You're gonna get in the funk. You're gonna get burned out, quit,
Yeah.
Become a drunk. I don't know, there's so many different options.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it a lot.
Lose your family. I mean,
Family. I mean, so many lawyers I know are divorced or going through a breakup, or you know what I mean, just because you got to prioritize. You got to balance. Balance is another thing I would say.
yeah,
It's hard to do it.
it's hard. There's a lot of suicide. I think it used to be dentists, the number one, and now I think it's still attorneys.
It is. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mental health is huge. It's
Yeah, it is. It is.
And when you talk to other lawyers, and I mean, 8 out of 10 lawyers you talk to when you call are going to be like, "Oh God, I hate this." Like, "Oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I have so much work." And then you'll get the 2 that are like, "Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm good." And you
Yeah.
a different wavelength. It's hard to be there all the time, but
It is. Yeah.
you can tell who's working and who's not on their mental.
Right. Exactly.
And
So
Our environment, we're getting attacked all day.
yeah, you ought to.
Get an adversary. My partner calls me. He's like, "I just fight." I'm like, "You're in the wrong profession. If you don't want to fight, like people pay us to fight. The problem is you're taking it personally. You know what I mean? Like it's hard not to do that. Especially feeling attacked. You get attacked by the client. You're getting attacked by opposing counsel. You're getting attacked by the judge sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
What do you think the law schools should do differently?
I mean, the way that they teach the law, the Socratic method, I understand that. I think that that's effective, confusing, but effective. I think that they could give a little bit of an overview on what they're doing so people don't seem so confused and scared the whole damn time, But I do think that a focus needs to be done on mental health. They need to talk about mental health. They need to talk about empathy. They need to talk about client relations. They need to talk about business, like running a practice. Ethics, they have a couple of ethics courses, but
Yeah, not really.
lawyers are just petrified all day. Like, if I do some right there, what if I do, And I think that there needs to be more guidance, personal guidance in law school. Not just here's a case, what are the issues? That's great to get
Right.
mind. I understand why they do it. To get your mind wired a certain way.
Wow.
But they do have the internships, which I think, because you see a lot of lawyers that never practice. They come out of law school and they're just sitting here reciting law to me. I'm like, listen, this is all cute, but it's called the practice of law. Until you start to practice, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
That doesn't work. Judges don't go for that argument. They laugh at that. So, but I think that
200 cases, right?
it was literally 200. And then the worst is I would either call ready for trial or I would resolve the case. If they had like the best deal you could get, you don't want to take it, good, let's set it for trial. Like, because it was like you had to, because otherwise. And I got the case count down to like 100. So happy. But then they just promoted me into a new division.
That's like crazy. Whoa.
All right,
Like, oh no.
I got myself here, because in a government office, the work's going to keep coming. It's not going away,
You gotta pace yourself. Pace yourself.
Oh yeah. It's pretty.
Yeah. Any last words for everybody?
No, I mean, no, I kind of covered everything. I mean, if it's lawyers, like I said, that are watching, and business owners, the number one thing I would say is pace yourself. Integrity is everything. Don't compromise your integrity. Like people say that to us when we were younger and lost. Don't do it. If you keep your word, people, and just be cool. Just be cool. It's what I tell young lawyers. Just be cool. Be easy with everybody. Be easy and cool. If you got to fight, but do it in a classy manner. And then, things work out. Doors will open and people will be much more receptive. You don't always have to be hostile. You don't always have to be screaming and fighting. Be easy. People appreciate that. Even the most difficult people eventually will crack if you come in at them, in a better angle. That's what I always say.
Yeah. How can folks get in touch with you if they're interested in your podcast? Or
Well, the podcast is called Two Taps and Friends. Two Taps has nothing to do with beers or anything like that. It's a joke when I tell stories. People say I tap a lot when I'm telling like a funny story. I'll tap them on the arm so they
oh.
So it's Two Taps and Friends. We're on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're everywhere. That's easy to find. And then the law firm is Rosenberg Cummings, is a litigation firm. Or just Google attorney Daniel Rosenberg. I'll come up. My cell phone's there. Like you made fun of my cell phone's there. I'm accessible. You can reach me, email, text, Two Taps, Instagram, wherever you want. You can find me. I'm very accessible.
Two Taps. All right. Well, Two Taps and Friends. Okay.
That's a lot of
Well, awesome. I really enjoyed spending time with you today. Thank you so much. Okay.
Chris, thanks for having me.
All right. So long, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Lawyers Tell All, where Chris Mullins takes you on a journey with lawyers in the trenches who show you the realities of what it takes to succeed in this chaotic, crowded, ever-changing profession. Remember to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on Lawyers Tell All.